good people, good beer, and good causes. And not the first time I ever delivered a speech from up here was a couple of years ago when I was 26 to declare my first election victory. And today, Libby and I are here about another victory for the city that we love, and that will come with the re-election of Steve Adler as our mayor. We've known Steve and Diane for almost 2 decades, and the values they bring, the energy they bring, is so much of the vitality and the spirit that make Austin such a special place for us to call home. Moving to single-member districts for our city council allowed more people to come to the table and have their voices heard, but it also created some challenges. And we're very fortunate that we've had a mayor who has a vision that encompasses all of our city, who can work with any neighborhood and with any person of goodwill to try to solve some of the tough problems that we have. And we know that strong, effective leadership is particularly important now because we have so little of it any other place. Frankly, there's some real threats that threaten our way of life that emanate from the state capitol and from the United States Capitol. At the governor's mansion, we've got a governor who lost his sense of smell. He doesn't seem to recognize that the sweet smell of success in Austin is based on respect for each other and on the diversity that has made us so strong. From the very first settlement of this community at Waterloo, and I wasn't there for that one, we've been a city of immigrants. And I congratulate the mayor on standing up firmly to all the anti-immigrant hysteria that has come out of the state capitol. Our national leaders are telling us that terms like evidence-based and science-based are banned terms. We have here in Mayor Adler not only a local, but a national and an international leader in combating the threat of climate change, and I salute you for that. So while in Washington we have a president who is in a disgrace, in Austin, we have a mayor in which we can take pride. Our mayor, Steve Adler. Let's read it.
You know, I haven't seen and I didn't anticipate a crowd like this. An event like this can't come across without a lot of great people, not to mention music and beer and ice cream. So we really have to thank Don and Hawk and the Texas Beer Company and Amy's Ice Cream. Join me in thanking them again. And I really want to thank my friends for coming up here and introducing me here today. Secretary Castro and Congressman Doggett and Senator Watson and Representative Israel and Mimi Stiles and Robbie Osley. We have some other elected officials in the crowd, and I'm real appreciative that they're here too. And I'm not sure I get them all, but I know I've seen Commissioner Trevelyan and Judge Byrne and Judge Hogarten. And some of my colleagues on the council, I see Ann Kitchen and Jimmy Flanagan and Pio Renteria, and it means a lot to me that we have all gathered here today. Woo! You know, 4 years ago, I stood before you in the city and I asked for your vote to elect me as mayor. And I asked you to support a new way forward. And I am proud to be part of the very first 10-1 council. This is a council that has repeatedly confronted the hardest issues and taken them head on. This is a council that has acted to move Austin forward into the future. This is a council that has not looked back. A new way forward is and has always been about matching up to the challenges of the future. We know what was and still is at stake. If we want to save what is special about the spirit and soul of this city, then we need to act. We need to be deliberate. We need to think and plan for the long term, and then we actually have to finally do stuff. So I love my wife, and Diane said that we get to keep going. So today, Diane and I stand before you and the city, and again, we're asking for your support and for your vote, because we need to keep doing the job that we've started. You know, here we have in Austin what I'll call the Austin paradox. We must fiercely, seriously, and unabashedly continue to move forward. And part of that requires us to actively preserve what we love about this city, for my family, your families, forever. And that's why I'm running for re-election. In the last 3 years, I've represented Austin in cities all over the world. Austin has become a world leader on climate change and driverless vehicles and smart city horizons and economic development and trade. So I have seen a lot of cities. And folks, I used to say it because I believed it to be true, but I know it to be true now. Austin is a magical place. The spirit and soul of this city is unlike any other city in the world. Now, I got here in 1978 not because I was cool, because I wasn't. Something my daughters remind me all the time. UT Law was a really good school, and more importantly, it was the cheapest law school in the country, and I had no intention of making this my home. And then it happened. For everyone, it's different. But there's always a moment when people fall in love with this city. Do you remember when it happened to you? Maybe you were listening to some music and you found yourself surrounded by folks that you just felt at home with. Maybe it was the first time you went to the Alamo Draft House and wondered why all movie theaters weren't just like that. Maybe it was the first time you got into a heated argument about where to get the best breakfast tacos, and you realized that you'd gone native. For me, I fell in love with Austin for the most ancient of reasons: beer and Barton Springs. I mean, how can you not love this place? I get to work in a city hall that is shaped like a giant armadillo across the street from a statue of Willie Nelson. Anything is possible in this city. We've reinvented country music, grocery stores, movie theaters. South by Southwest has become the annual World's Fair of the future. We're the biggest no-kill city in the country, and we love bragging. And we love bragging about how large our bat colony is, and it is weird. But there's nothing we love more in this city than our neighbors. Austin is an extraordinarily welcoming community. We're one of the friendliest LGBTQ communities in the country. We like that 1 in 5 Austinites was born in a different country. We've got hundreds of refugees living in our community, going to our schools and working alongside of us, and nobody thinks twice about it, not because we don't care, because we can't imagine it any other way. Remember what happened after Hurricane Harvey? Now, we were expecting thousands of people to head to Austin for shelter. And Diane and I, we put out the call for some welcome kits to gather towels and pillows and whatnot. We said, guests are coming and we have chores to do. And boy, did you rise to that challenge. Remember what you did. First, you bought out the town. You couldn't find a pillow in this city at a Target or Walmart. Shelves were picked clean. In 72 hours, just 72 hours, you not only made enough welcome kits for everyone who needed shelter in our city, but you made thousands and thousands more. You made so many welcome kits that we shipped them to other cities that were hit by hurricanes and flooding. Let me try something. Anybody in here actively work on a welcome kit, or their family do that? Thank you so much. That enthusiastic, warm, caring, empathetic spirit is what makes Austin such a special place. It's part of why I love this town so much. Now, this town has changed a lot since I got here in the 70s. Heck, it's changed a lot since I got elected mayor. And our position in the world has changed. But no matter how much we change, how much the world around us goes completely insane, we will stay Austin, Texas. Now, we have challenges. We have challenges. But we are uniquely poised to address our challenges in part because there is so much that's going so well here. Austin is recognized as the safest big city in Texas, the best place to start a business in the country. We lead Texas in patents, startups, venture capital. Our unemployment rate is a full 1% lower than it is statewide, and it's even lower than that if you look at the national numbers. Our economy is doing so well that our priority, unlike most other cities, is not to bring jobs to Austin, but to train the people that live here for the jobs that we have. There are publications that say that Austin is the very best place to live in the whole United States, and it is. Because importantly, we focus on the right priorities. By culture and character, we are focusing on racial equity and economic inequality. In real and important ways, we are dedicated and always working to become our better selves in this city. We are Austin, Texas, and this city is worth fighting for. And so long as I am mayor, I'm not going to let anybody, not the President of the United States, stop us from being who we are. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I am a proud American. I am a very, very proud Texan. But don't anybody mess with my city. You would think, with our record of success, our state and national leaders would hold us up as an example, not a target. You'd think they would claim credit for our success, instead of, as our congressman said, referenced our governor last year, saying that the air in Austin stinks because of the way that we do things here. Well, he's got it wrong. The air smells pretty sweet here with success. And I would add, Congressman, with the best barbecue in the world. But the insults are the least of it. The reason I defend Austin is because these politicians would actually take Austin backward. And we've got work to do. We can't let folks get in our way. There are some politicians who work a couple blocks from here are trying to do just that. Despite how well we're doing, they want to tell us how to run our city. They want to tell us how to manage our streets, how to keep our city safe, how much of our own money we're allowed to spend, what trees we're allowed to protect. They even try to tell us which bathrooms we can use. Even though I will tell you that a woman is 1,000,000 times more likely to get harassed working in the Capitol than they are at any of the bathrooms in our city. But look at today's political language. The bathroom bill was an effort to gain cheap political advantage by fostering fear of our transgender community. This tactic, dividing us by making us scared of each other, is dangerous. While our state leadership was trying to make us fear our trans Texans, our city council was working to create an LGBTQ quality of life commission with Jimmy Flanagan. At the same time, our state leaders were trying to scare people about who would be in our bathrooms. Your city council was making sure that our LGBTQ brothers and sisters had a seat in every room at City Hall.
Yeah!
The tactic of using fear to divide us is how the immigration debate started a year ago. I mean, do you remember that? Senate Bill 4 began with leaders telling us that we needed to be protected from immigrants by calling them criminals and rapists, and bad hombres. Remember that?
Yeah.
Spreading and using fear to gain a political advantage is not the Austin way. Being a welcoming city, keeping all of our neighbors safe, establishing trust, that's the Austin way. What we do keeps us safe. This is going to continue to be a fight as we fight for who we are, as we fight for this city. We can't let them or anyone else take Austin backwards. That's why I pled our case face-to-face in Washington, D.C. with the Director of Homeland Security, Kelly, and Attorney General Sessions. Got them to admit that Austin and Travis County were not violating any federal laws. That's why your council and I authorized funding legal aid for immigrants so they know what their rights are. That's why your council and I fought to join in lawsuits against the federal government in California and Chicago on the visa issue and the attempt to punish sanctuary cities. That's why your council and I sued the state to stop Senate Bill 4. Did you know that there is a part of Senate Bill 4 that would remove public officials from office for endorsing policies contrary to Senate Bill 4? That's right. Our state leaders want the right to remove me from office if we just publicly oppose the law. Now, I love being your mayor, and I do not want to be removed from office. But in case there is any confusion, I'm going to state publicly that I'm going to continue challenging Senate Bill 4 and its policies regardless of any personal consequences. You know, if ICE wants to round me up too, they can find me at City Hall. I'll be at my desk working. Now, the state is even more disingenuous when it comes to property taxes. Now, we all know that property taxes are going up way too fast, and we all feel the increases in property taxes. But most people don't know that more than 2/3 of the property tax increases that we're feeling here in Austin is not from city taxes, not from county taxes, not from special district taxes, and not from all those taxes added together. 70% of the increase in property taxes that you have felt in the last 5 years, 72% to be exact, is the result of the AISD levy that goes to the state and never comes back. Your property tax bills have gone up so much so fast because the legislature hasn't fixed school finance and hasn't really tried. Did you know that this year, the state of Texas will get more of our local property taxes than the city of Austin? It's gotten out of control. That part of our tax bill has gone up 288% over the last 5 years. Let me say that again. The amount the state is taxing you on property tax in order to prop up a broken school finance system, money that is taxed from you that leaves our community, that tax has gone up 288% over the last 5 years. They're taxing us more and more with what can only be called a state property tax. Now, state leaders talk a lot. They talk a lot. They talk a lot about out-of-control property taxes, but we in Austin are actually doing something about it. In our first year, your council and I created a meaningful homestead exemption, and then we raised it again in our second year. And we increased the senior and the disabled homestead exemption, not once, not twice, but 3 times. I want to make our state leaders a deal. You fix school finance and stop increasing our property taxes, and we'll take care of our bathrooms. You know, the president, he pulls us out of Paris Climate Accords and thinks that cold weather means that we no longer are dealing with climate change. But regardless of what he does at the federal level, Austin's going to continue to lean on climate change. Your council and I are committed to the goals of the Paris Accord. I was one of the original signers in Paris of the Mayor's Compact when that accord was signed 2 years ago. And you can count on me and your council to see it through, to make sure that Austin continues to make progress on our climate change goals. While our president is propping up the coal industry, your city, your council, has taken active steps to close our only coal plant. We're increasing renewables. In fact, the contracts we committed to last year will push us over 50% for the very first time. Last year, the solar purchases made by Austin Energy more than doubled the solar portfolio in the entire state of Texas. I am proud to fight for Austin on immigration, climate change, bathroom bills, mobility funding, reproductive rights, protecting our city's right to be who we are. Together, we are going to fight to keep Austin who we are. These political threats are as serious to us and our future as is the crisis of affordability and mobility. Now, we're not perfect, but we are serious about confronting our challenges head on, not just talking about how bad it is, but actually doing something. When I asked for your vote 4 years ago, I promised a new way forward. 3 years later, no one can deny that we haven't shown real action on the biggest challenges that face us, affordability and mobility. We passed the biggest mobility bond in our history to finally do something about traffic, focusing on fixing the roads that everybody uses to make them smarter. We focused on our most dangerous intersections to make them safer, 20 of them. And now the crashes on those intersections have dropped by as much as 67%. We're timing traffic lights on a rolling basis to adjust for changing traffic patterns, cut down on delays. And thanks to the mobility bond, we're going to install smart signals that retime themselves automatically every 10 minutes. Because of the bond you passed, we are building 30 miles of new sidewalks to make your neighborhood safer and have safer passages to schools. We're reforming economic incentives. We're not going to use your money to pay companies to come here willy-nilly. We're changing the law to invest in companies, both here and coming into our city, that bring the middle skill jobs that we need in the places where we need them, with a focus on Austinites and the needed community benefits, not just bringing in new people. We housed homeless veterans by creating yet another new coalition in our city, this time the Homeless Advocates and the Apartment Association. And because we've got more to do to get homeless neighbors off our streets and into homes, our coalitions have gotten 185 units of permanent supportive housing completed or in the pipeline. We're on track to double that number this year. We're managing growth by tapping into it to raise more than $6.7 million for affordable housing, adding it to the Housing Trust Fund. We've created a community land trust to make buying and owning a home more affordable for folks that have the greatest needs. Already we have 15 homes in this new community land trust. I've been saying for a while that people who work in Austin should be able to afford to live in Austin. We have completed 2,213 affordable housing units since the beginning of 2015. And your council has incentivized another 6,523 units that are now in progress. Councilmember Garza and I are working to support and build safeguards to protect homeowners that are now getting lowball cash offers for their homes on the east and southeast side of our city before they lose their family wealth. We even cut Austin Energy electric rates this year. And sneak preview, this city council is going to cut your water rates later this year for the very first time. In Austin, we are finally having serious discussions about racism and equity in a city that still feels the effects of segregation. For the first time, we're addressing institutional racism head on. Because equity is not a box you check at the end of the process, but it's something that needs to be embedded in everything that happens at City Hall. We have a new Chief Equity Officer. We funded him as staff. From across the city, including this week, leaders are participating in structured, facilitated conversations about institutional racism, so we change policy and culture throughout our city. Remember the promise that we made to introduce body cameras to protect our officers in our community. Well, just as the council promised, they are now fully funded and fully implemented. We're the safest big city in Texas because we have both the best police officers in a community that is engaged to have the best policing activities. We're making measurable progress on our biggest challenges, and we're not done. We have to finish the job. We've got to get a new land development code so we can protect neighborhoods and focus growth along our busiest corridors. And we have to make it so that anyone can add on a bathroom or a bedroom without having to hire a lobbyist. In the best of Austin tradition, revising the land development code has created quite a debate in our community. And I welcome that. Austin residents have raised really important questions and criticisms. People have a right to be concerned about development close to their homes and their neighborhoods, and as mayor, I will help protect that interest. But I believe in this community. I have faith in the people that live here. We're going to work together, and we're going to get to the best code revision result. Because we all love this city, and we want to protect its special spirit and soul. We'll get there because we're going to listen to each other. We're going to expand the convention center, because that's how we get tourists. That's how we get tourists to pay more than $300 million over 10 years for us to find solutions to the arch that's downtown and homelessness throughout our city, and to boost the local music industry and to invest in further historic preservation.
Yeah.
We need to save our local music industry. You got it?
Yeah.
We've added staff in that department not just to regulate it, but to help it grow. And for the very first time, think about this, for the very first time, we have neighborhoods that are working together with club owners to extend late night hours in ways that don't detrimentally impact neighborhoods. The old paradigms in this city of who is against who and who's on the opposite side is an old way of doing things in this city, and we can choose to move forward. I'm excited to see the progress on the mini bond program to allow us all, crowdsourced, to invest in the preservation of iconic music clubs before they disappear. Because we're not going to be the live music capital of the world for very much longer if we don't have live music venues. In this great economy, we are acting and doing something to deal with persistent poverty. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates, but for communities of color, it's about 10%. That's why we've teamed up with Travis County and employers to have the very first regional job plan in the history of Central Texas. The goal is audacious, to remove 10,000 people from poverty into middle-skilled jobs. We are implementing the housing strike fund that we talked about several years ago. It's actually now raising money and will make its first purchases before the year's over. We are not going to accidentally become an equitable, more affordable city. It's not going to happen on its own. We need to work with purpose to get it done, and I'm going to help see it through. Austin is a magical place, and we're going to do it the Austin way. Everyone working together, not being afraid to try new ideas, moving quickly because the risk of losing what we love is too great. We're making progress. Now, I think this is going to be a fun campaign. I mean, you get local beer and music and ice cream. But campaigns are a chance for a community to actually engage in the conversation and come together. I want to thank you for being here today. It shows you love this city just like I do. It shows you want to fight for this city just like I do. It shows you want to preserve what is special about this city for your family and for mine. So I am asking for your vote in November.
Yeah!
We have been in this together. We are still in this together. And together we will win this election in November. Thank you very much.
I hope that was